You're listening to The Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mike Yahoo. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? Mike from The Moose on the Loose. I hope you had a great weekend. Sorry, Monday morning, I was a bit late. Couldn't record one in advance, but today I have some serious thought about the Beat the TSX strategy. Ironically, this is a strategy that I must admit works. Just before I give some thoughts about the 2024 results, the Beat the TSX is actually quite simple. It's just that you take the list of the 60 largest companies on the TSX, so the 60 largest companies that are, and then you make a list by dividend yield. You buy the top 10 highest yielding stocks. So it's kind of like an interesting strategy where you're focused on buying the companies with the highest yield with the largest market capitalization. So you're trying to make a play on some kind of like a blue chip strategy and using companies that probably did not that well the year before, explaining why the yield is so high. Because, the yield is a function of the stock price and the dividend. So either the dividend has increased dramatically and the stock price has not moved, which is not necessarily a good sign, or the stock price has dropped dramatically, pushing the yield higher up. So most of the time, you're going to find a list of 10 companies that have not did well so far for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But the idea is if they got beaten up in 2023, well, chances are they should have done well in 2024 and then move on. This year, you do the same thing, rinse and repeat, and you look at the top 10 of the Beat the TSX. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, actually. We're going to discuss the new stocks, but I just wanted to take a step back right now and see how this strategy performed. Because what troubles me, literally, is as simple as it is, as clear as it is, and I do love simple and straightforward strategies. I mean, this one is really easy. Top 60, filter by the highest yield, buy the top 10. Next year, you do the same thing. You take stocks that are not part of the top 10 anymore. You sell them, you replace them by the new ones, and then that's it. So it takes literally 2 minutes per year to do that strategy. And crazy enough, the Beat the TSX has been beating the TSX for the past 30, 20, 10, 5 years. Actually, past 3 years and this year and last year did not beat the TSX. And kudos to dividendstrategy.ca that actually provides all the calculations over there. So kudos to him. Just want to say those numbers, I just took those from dividendstrategy.com. Matt is a pretty good guy, pretty focused on that strategy, I think, but I just love the fact that he does the hard work. So sometimes we have to rely on community, right? So I'm surprised because the numbers are speaking by themselves. I mean, the facts are it is beating the TSX. I've done a couple of episodes explaining why it's not that hard though to beat the TSX, and maybe it's not a strategy for you because you have to actually do exactly those steps in that order and not do anything else and not own anything else. So what was interesting is, yes, for the past 3 years, that strategy has actually underperformed. Not that much over the past 3 years though. So 3 years average is 7.5 versus 8.4, so about 1% per year. It's not good, but it's not incredible. But last year was kind of a big, not a big blow, but I mean, the XIU over the past, between January 1st and December 31st of 2004 shows a total return of 20.72%. While the Beat the TSX, according to dividendstrategy.ca, reported a total return of 16.19. So the strategy lagged 4.5% behind. Of course, 1 year is definitely not that dramatic. I keep telling that on my blog when I report my own results. The real results are really once you can compare throughout a full economic cycle. So after like minimum of like 7-8 years, I would say 10 years would be even better. And then starting after 10 years of return, you can really compare your performance against a benchmark and draw some conclusion. Because here's the thing, when you look at the top 10, if you would have started this strategy on January 1st, 2024, what you would have in your portfolio is I mean, not surprising because we're talking about a TSX, but it would have been a combo of pipelines, telcos, and banks. And actually, I'm looking at those names, and they're actually, you have like 10 companies. Oh, we do have one utility company in there, but you literally have like 3 sectors. Amongst them, well, of course, telcos did not do well. So among the top 10 from last year, you had Bell at minus 36. You had TELUS at minus 17. So already not a good start for the year. And then you had another big loser, which is Algonquin. You already know what I'm thinking about Algonquin and Bell. I sold Algonquin after getting burnt. Fortunately for Bell, I never owned it, but I started to be quite vocal about their problems about a year ago. And then a few months ago, I was just like rating it as a sell at DSR, Dividend Stocks Rock, my membership website, because the cash flow situation is not improving. I don't think it's going to improve next year, like in 2025. And worse comes to worse, management is now improvising and trying to shift the narrative. They're trying to like make you think about another story, which is, oh, we're now making acquisition in the US and we're going to spin that story to tell you that we're going to generate growth in the future, while we hope that you're going to forget that we still have to borrow money to pay the dividend this year and maybe the next coming years, because cash flow is still not enough to sustain CapEx, business operation, and paying the dividend. So sometimes like management is trying to like spin off something that is not turning well for Bell so far. And that was like the final nail in the coffin in my perception, is when Bell announced that they would sell their stake in MLSE, sorry. Monday morning for everyone, right? So long story short, selling their some of their high quality media asset to pay back some debt, which was a good move. And then 6 weeks later, literally 6 weeks later, they announced that they would make an acquisition that would actually take all the proceeds from the sale of their previous media assets, plus gathering even more debt to make the move. And then, of course, if you want to go into the fiber business in the US, well, you'll need more cash flow. So the story is we're going to burn more cash flow to spin another story. We're going to grow. So anyways, so just to show you how when you hold 10 companies, if you have like 3 losers, and those were, of course, major losers. I mean, like not great performance from TELUS either at minus 17. Algonquin at minus 23, like nothing was great here. So that drives down the your total return, and it's going to be very hard to beat any benchmark if you have like 3 losers. On the positive side, though, pipelines have done incredibly well. We're talking about Enbridge at almost plus 30%, TC Energy plus 42%. Pembina plus 16%. So those were great companies to own. And of course, they compensated a lot for the losses of the 3 losers. Other great companies there, well, you had like a few banks. You have Bank of Nova Scotia up 20%. Definitely not my favorite, but I mean, from time to time, it has to go up, right? My wild guess here is some banks are benefiting from the fact that a lot of investors starting to get nervous about the situation with BMO and their provision for credit losses that is increasing like there's no tomorrow, like reporting shaky earnings, and also lack of growth from TD after the anti-money laundering investigation and penalties that they're suffering. So that explains, I guess, partially that Scotiabank's doing better. CIBC up 42.5%. Crazy year for them. They kind of like used the perfect playbook there. In 23, they reported like high provision for credit losses. And then in 24, they said, hey, we're all good. So it's time to invest again. So that convinced the market. So that was great. Those were like the major movers. After that, you have like Power Corp at plus 18% and then Emera at plus 7. So is it enough to hold 10 stocks? I mean, it's going to be quite volatile, a few losers, and then you're going to have a bad year. But over several years, it's kind of crazy to see the performance. So just keep that in mind. Personally, I'm not a fan of this strategy, mostly because it's not that hard to beat the TSX with a diversified portfolio on the Canadian side. And actually, I prefer to start using my dividend stocks rockstar list instead as a first base to find some companies to grow my portfolio. But I mean, that's just me. I rather focus on growth than trying to grab beaten up companies. We're going to talk tomorrow about what's inside the Beat the TSX portfolio this year. And some major changes happen. Some of them are quite interesting. Some others, I mean, I could bet $2 that they're not going to do well. So we're going to talk again about that tomorrow. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you watch it there, or to follow me on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Already 11 minutes. Sorry, guys. I got carried away with the Beat the TSX. So more thoughts on the Beat the TSX tomorrow. So stay tuned and stay invested.
Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose and the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.